stuff in Minecraft doesn't fall, right? If I break this tree block here, this tree will stay floating, right? Wrong. With the physics mod, blocks don't float anymore, and leaves don't work. So today, come with me as I explore all the weird and quirky features of the physics mod when I combine it with shaders and a very high resolution texture pack. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more cool content like this. But let's begin the video. I don't want to keep you waiting too long. So of course I have the pro version since you guys subscribed to me, so I felt generous. So we're going to start with doing each physics setting starting with mobs. So they have a bunch of different mob physics and we're going to look through each of them. I've chosen a villager to be our test subject, so this is just the default ragdoll. Their heads kind of come off, which I find funny. Yep, there he goes. Now we're going to do for blocks. They have a bunch of different block breaking. So we're going to start with crumbled voxel, which looks like this when you break them, so they go into a bunch of little cubes. Next up is fractured. That's the default, I'm pretty sure, and it looks like this. So if you've ever seen footage of this mod, it's probably that. And then you got the blocky, which is kind of hard to see here as I'm demonstrating, but if I go over and break a tree, it's much easier to see. As you can see, it's a block and it falls. It's very cool. And finally, we have particles, which is also very cool. So I'll go break a tree again, since I figured out that it looks nicer and it's easier to see and demonstrate. That's what particles looks like. I think it's very cool. And then, of course, there's a bunch of animations for when the blocks disappear. I'm only going to show you a couple, since I wanted to take all day. But here is portal. You can hear those portal sounds. This is my personal favorite. It's called explosion. You can hear those explosion sounds, which according to the subtitles is lava hissing, I guess. And now we're gonna go on to the ocean. So there's a lot of different things, and we're mostly just going to be playing around with the wave settings. And so let's go over there. So as you can see, there's actually a wake and the water splashing particles. Also, there is a ripple when you go into the water or any other entity / projectile / whatever. Now, we can make the waves really slow. If we make them just really high like this, you get this, which is really tall but extremely wide waves. And that's what happens when you make it fast. If you've seen Narfi's video about that, he did this. And here's what happens when you have fast, high, and low and horizontal diameter. You get this, which is pretty darn insane and really cursed to look at. Okay, so here we go. We have dynamic blocks. These are blocks where you walk into them and they change their form. Here, I'm going to demonstrate it here. So if I push into this kelp, it bends over and it'll stay together, and I can push it around as it breaks and it actually explodes in the water, which I find really weird. And now let's move on to the next thing. So this is the cloth physics. I'll just demonstrate with the fishing rod here. So if I have it at max length, it's actually a length, and you can see how long it can go before it breaks like that. I find this one really fun. So as you can see, a ton of line right at the beginning, and then it gets shorter and shorter. Well, it's not shorter actually, it just gets farther away from you. So next up, this is the cloth settings. I can demonstrate them on my banner, and as you can see, it's not just a normal banner, it'll twist and stuff with the way I'm moving. So you can see that the banners, they move, you push into them, and they'll change. Whoa, that's buggy. They'll change their shape. That's very cool. So next up, we have the projectile settings, which you've probably seen. So let's just start with voxel. So with voxel, as you can see, I get a cubulated, I don't know how you would say that, snowball, eggs, and also ender pearl. Didn't spawn this time, but there you go, it looks cool. And then the other option other than none is round, and I'll show you that now. So with round, it's similar, except they're no longer pixelated, they're really round. So here's the snowballs. Here's the eggs. Next up on the list is the liquid settings. I'll demonstrate that with the enchanting table since this one does not. It's a think infinite water flow. So you see the water keeps on going. It keeps going. It doesn't stop. And this is really cool. And that's about it. It is, since if you have a lot more of this, it will crash your game and your game will crash and burn and die. And I have a pretty powerful computer, so I wouldn't recommend other people doing this. Alright, so the next thing we're going to explore is the /liquid command, seeing as we left off on liquids. So you can make spheres, cubes of liquid. They get pretty darn laggy, so that's why there's also the liquid clear command. I'll just demonstrate it here. So what this command does is it just clears all the liquid away out of your world. So what this command does is it clears all the liquid out of your world just like that. So I'm gonna demonstrate what the /liquid command can do. So if I can create a sphere of liquid and make the radius 1. So summon a 1-block sphere of liquid. So I can clear it, and then if I summon another one, it's like that. Now if I want to make it a bit bigger, like 5, it does that. Boosh. It's pretty cool physics, actually. It's really cool to look at. So let's just clear that, and let's move on to snow. So here we are in a frozen biome that has snow. And so what the snow does is when you walk through it, you actually trample it, which is really cool. The snow's render distance is set to low because, as you can probably guess, this is extremely taxing on anyone's computer, even though I have a nice computer. I'll put the specs of my computer up on screen right now. So as we mess with the snow, I can make it thick. And as you can see, the warning there, my CPU isn't very weak, but I don't want to turn the render distance back up. And so you can see it's a really thick snow. And then I can also turn up the level of detail. Also the quality of the snow, which I just changed. So this is high quality snow. It looks better, quite a bit better. And now let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be absolutely obliterating my computer with is smoke. So you can see that there's smoke amounts for different particles and stuff. So let's just start with that. So this is the regular amount of smoke that comes out of a campfire. Now I can go absolutely demolish that by cranking that up to maximum. And it produces quite a bit more smoke, and the cool thing is it actually seems to melt the snow around it, I think. I don't know if that was just a glitch or something. Now, cool thing is, let's say you have a forest fire, you've probably started at least one in your world. If you play Minecraft, who doesn't? And so, let's see what that does. I'll just go light a tree on fire. So as this forest fire really gets going, you can see that there's actually a good chunk of smoke that comes up in the air, even though it's at the default amount. So if I set this to max, this would probably be pretty insane. As you can see, the snow layers are struggling since I've turned the render distance down, since there's a lot of them. But that's a lot of smoke. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing, which I believe is weather, after demonstrating that the blaze also produces smoke. So if I spawn in a blaze like this, ta-da, it's producing smoke. I'll just kill it. Yeah. Okay, next thing, weather. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I can actually change the color of the smoke, which I'll demonstrate in a second. So if I just crank these colors randomly, let's just make it green, and this one over here, red, whatever. Yeah, let's just make it red. Now if I light my campfire, I have green that goes pretty quickly into red. So now we're on to weather. Not lying this time. Okay, so with weather, I can edit the amount of particles compared to normal. So if the normal is 5 and I make it 30, there's gonna be a lot of weather. Also, there's wind in this. There's like actual wind. So if I make it raining, that's a lot of raindrops. And if I make it really low, there's very few raindrops. Now I can have the chimney, my god. I can have the wind at maximum. And this is what this looks like. So if I place a campfire, you can see that the smoke gets blown sideways. And the raindrops are also going sideways. And also if I place a banner, you can see that it's getting blown all over the place. Like, holy cow. And now for the last thing. That's the block entity physics, whatever it's called. So I've turned up the collapse limit and speed all the way up. And so if I break a block, it should break a lot. Or not. Okay, I don't know. This isn't the right setting or something, but yeah, not much really happened. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You should really go get the physics mod for yourself. Be sure to like, subscribe if you made it this far, which if you did, good for you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.